concern is that you be free of whatever problem you've got and that you be happy, you know. And we can't come to that without practicing it. You know, they say there's three ways we learn. One is to read or hear about it. One is to think about it, and the other is to meditate, to actually integrate it into our own experience. And it has to be done. It can't be done superficially. It has to be done really on a repeated basis, which gets deeper and deeper to where it's sort of like spontaneous. Then, so when you're out around and about, you first thing if you're being mindful of where you are and where you're going and what your surroundings and the environment you're in, you see this insect on the path that's in danger of getting squashed by somebody, you stop and move it. You know, you see someone who needs help carrying something, whatever Karmapa, listening to teaching him a while back, and he said, you know, when we make these prayers and vows as a bodhisattva to help each and every sentient being, well, you know, it's so overwhelming. I mean, just to think of the number of living beings it's like mind-boggling. I mean, we can't even begin to even visualize what countless sentient beings are. He said, but by having that attitude, what it means is that every sentient being you encounter, then you have this concern for their well-being. You know, is this person, how are you? You know, how are you? Or let me move this out of the way. Or, you know, there's a piece of trash that shouldn't be here. You know, just whatever it is, we're aware and mindful of the environment we find ourselves in, and we take part in it in like a really compassionate, loving way. You know, so and that has to. I can only speak my own experience. The only way that it comes about is through meditation. I mean, you can't be distracted and come to to get this experience and conclusion in your mind without being really as focused as we can be. I mean, here again, maybe as focused as we can be is a good way to put it, because some of us like to meditate and aren't great meditators. We get distracted, you know, but at least put ourselves in an environment where we can meditate or where the distractions are minimal. So we can look at these things and look at ourselves and the experience we have and recognize this incredible connection we have with all living beings and the wish for them to be happy, be free of these problems. I mean, it's just, you know, it's bloody awful when you look at the world. You know, it's just, like I say, if we really become aware of our own suffering, what are the situation we have and we've experienced, and our connection with others, we look and we see that it's just awful. It's really, really, really terrible the situation sentient beings are in, because we don't recognize this incredible delusion about this fact that happiness can be found outside. I mean, we're destroying the bloody planet with this idea of progress. You know, I mean, we live on this planet with limited resource, and everybody's talking about expanding the economy and better living, you know, lifestyles and all this thing. And it's impossible. You know, and all we're you know, His Holiness in His teachings this last year said, you know, the way we're going in 200 years, the Buddhist predictions about this place going up in smoke be valid. You know, and between now and then is not going to be. It's not like it's going to happen all at once. You know, we're wading through it right now, and so it's just. One of the best analogies is that we're all these sheep heading into the slaughterhouse. And there's no point in pushing and shoving. You know, we're all heading for the same result. And to not have love and compassion for each other, it's just, watch my language, it's just insane. It's really, really insane that we don't recognize that we're all in the same boat and not have concern for each other. And so anyway, I'm getting carried away, but anyway, the meditation, we have to meditate. We have to meditate. We can't continually, superficially look at these things, just, read a little of this or a little of that and walk around. I mean, it's beneficial. It does change us. But it doesn't bring about the really dramatic change that has to take place in this short lifetime we have. We really have, that's what I want to talk about this afternoon, but it's we really have to, we have to put ourselves in a situation, even if it's only 10 minutes a day, just in the morning to have some motivation for the day and some determination that today, I'm going to be kind and loving to every being that I come in contact with. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to be short. I'm going to pay attention. We can't continue the way we're doing and expect to make any change. Okay, now I got my sound system turned up. Yeah. Yeah, this worked quite well when I put them on and I actually turned it up. I heard, yeah, I got, yeah. So now I got to turn it back down so I can talk. Being, mindful and having the, single point of concentration is a tool we need to have to meditate on the Lam Rim. Here again, whatever we do, if we're focused on it and we're not distracted, we're better at it. If it's driving a car, carving a piece of wood, painting a picture, we all have these experiences when we're really focused on something, we do a better job. We do. And so with meditation, and it starts running into this afternoon, so I'm not going to go too far with it. The point is to make that mindfulness useful. The Lama Zopa Rinpoche says many times I've heard, we can be very mindful while we're killing somebody. We can be stabbing them and cutting them up and be really mindful and single-pointed, but not much benefit. So we have to take that and focus this concentration, this single-pointed stuff, on something that's really beneficial. And this is the Lam Rim, which is what I want to get to this afternoon. In fact, it's this incredibly organized way to progress through the teachings that the Buddha gave in order to get to the result we want to have. And we have to be able, the more we can focus in our mind on it, the more we're going to get from it. The more we're distracted, the less we will get, and the longer it will take us to bring about the change in our mind we're looking for. So I think it's 12. Yeah, please.
Familiar with something, you've heard about it, you sit down and you go over it and you think, well, I know this. Keep it fresh. So this is, you talk about getting energy. But I know in the past, many people went to meditate. They didn't get the energy, they got more sleep. And they'd have to stop. So keeping that fresh. That's the advice. And the second is, from your experience, as you go through the long run, so are there subjects that don't appear so relevant or more difficult to ask questions on how you I'm not expecting you to answer now.
Yeah, we can start use that for a starting point this afternoon.
And of course then the next topic is going to be when you are living as a meditator and then you come down from the mountain, like now, here we are,
Easy peasy. I mean, the thing is that you're up on, sounds strange, but up on the mountain meditating, you're doing this to be able to benefit sentient beings. So when you step out in Tamil or here, what am I with? I'm with sentient beings. I'm with all these people I've been hoping I could help at some point in time, and realizing I'm not very, the limitation, but there's still the wish to help, and here I am with you. And the other point, I mean, is I was thinking the other day, and from time to time I think, when my mother passed away, my parents were wonderful, and I love them dearly, and so it's like my mother passed away, and I have this wish, God, I wish I just could be with her one more time and talk to her, and spend some time with her. Well, guess what? That's each and every one of you. There's no difference. We've all been each other's mother countless times, and so this wish and prayer has come true. It's this. None of us look the same. We're always changing, but this idea, this like I say, this idea there's some separation between me and out there, like I don't care about this person, or they're this totally bollock. You have one question? No, I mean the situation I'm in is the Rinpoche's land. There's a fairly large piece of land, and there's his house with two monks taking care of it. And there's two other meditators that are on the far end, which is almost a mile away from me. And I'm up on top here, and I don't see anybody. I say on Monday night, I email my shopping list down to Tenzin and Tarchin, and they shop on Tuesday. And when I was younger, they would put it in a trash can at the bottom of the hill, and I'd go down and fetch it and come back up. Or now they'll just drop it off on my porch. And so I don't see anybody, and I don't get a lot of. So when I go out, it's not seeing people. It's all the sensory input that tires me. Like to get in the car, and like when I was doing this cataract surgery, I'd have to drive to Wenatchee, which is like 2 hour and almost a 2.5 hour drive away. And so I'm driving by myself, but it's just all this time distance computation that goes on in your mind just to drive a car. But just all the input is exhausting, and it takes a few days to overcome that. But other than that, I mean, as far as engaging with people and things, it's wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Sorry.
So I was in the Kopan for just 2008. really enjoyed it. And I mentioned it to you. I'm a professor, I used to teach. I really appreciated you from your deep practice, sharing with us all this difficult topics that get to your mind. Me, as you're a very intellectual person, which is in my case, but then you have to practice. And in this practice, I noticed that, okay, you can cultivate compassion, love, and kindness, etc. But in my experience, professionally, is that not all sentient beings are really nice people.
Yeah.
And in general, we are living in a very competitive world with a lot of anger, with a lot of envy, with a lot of jealousy. And I don't know, I feel like if we all among mind-like people like here, then our practice of compassion and kindness is a bit more easier. And then when I go outside, I feel like many times I'm feeling like a doormat. And how do you deal with that? I mean, I know it's about boundaries, but how do you find like that soft point that you're in a state of compassion and love and kindness towards the other one, who unfortunately sometimes really want to hurt you? I really want to, I don't know, from their own suffering. And I'm really struggling with that.
Yeah.
I don't know how if you, from your own practice, even though you live on a top of the mountain or whatever, but I know that you have a very long, other kind of life.
Yeah.
How do you reflect on that? What would you recommend to find that?
Well, when I first discovered Buddhism, the one thing that really set my mind to thinking this is something I have to follow is the equanimity. You know, the idea of, relatively we can have friends and enemies and strangers, but when we recognize this interconnectedness, and we recognize that if somebody is being angry or being hostile, it's only because they have a lot of pain here. You don't react like that in a situation unless there's some real difficult thing in your mind or in your heart. If you're happy and content and love it in your heart, you're treating people. And so I think to have compassion, really have compassion. I mean, we can't help them in our current condition. This is why we would like to become Buddha, because then we can at least have some idea. Even the Buddha couldn't help everyone. It's a dependent thing. There's a lot of people who saw the Buddha and they just saw, this strange-looking dude. They see His Holiness the Dalai Lama. You go to Bodh Gaya, where His Holiness and this incredible holy place. I mean, and you have all these, people who live there. It doesn't mean anything to them. We have to recognize what our limitations are, but certainly not react to them with anger or disparity or whatever. We just have to recognize that they're suffering. I mean, when I first moved to Washington, this is a remote part of Washington State we live in. I mean, I don't know if it was how far away we get, but some people now have any idea where Washington State is, but it's the northwest corner of America. And where we live is from the ocean over the first mountain range, and in the valley, it's called High Desert, and we're right next to Canada. I mean, like 20 miles from Canada as the crow flies. And this is I got in trouble at the 2018 course because I would talk this way, but this is Donald Trump country. These people, I'm in the part of the country that go like this to Donald Trump. And so I arrived there, and I'm the first Buddhist monk anybody's seen, and I'm going, and in the first 4 or 5 years, I'm working there building for Rinpoche, adding additions, and I'm going out in my monk clothes, and very interesting, because even these people who we think are so different from us are very much like us. I could be in Walmart or whatever we have there, and you see people, and most people, very few people you would see. Most of them are very curious, and so we smile. I smile, I say hello to people, and gradually over now 19 years, and now there's more monks, nuns there, and so we're not so strange, and I mean we're in an area where there's a lot of Native Americans, like our Rinpoche's land is almost abuts very close, maybe a quarter of a mile from the largest Native American reservation in America. And there's 12 tribes in that organization. And the Native Americans love us. They're very curious. And then when we do ceremonies sometimes with them. Anyway, it's the process of understanding that we're all the same. Not even though someone can be hostile and they be violent. I mean, if they're being violent and things, if we have to do what we can do. I mean, if it just means I'm out the door, you're out the door. I mean, we can't all. It's if we can help, and if we can't, don't make the situation worse. I mean, I don't know if that helps what you're saying, but it's just to recognize that these people who are angry and hostile, they're suffering. They're not behaving that way because they're happy, and it's because of this, and in reality, it's the situation they put themselves in, but they can't recognize that, and we can't say, well, it's just your karma. We can't say that, because it's really not true so much that way. And we just have to, like I say, if we can help them, we help them. If we can't, then we can just, make prayers and have in our hearts the wish that they could be happy. It's okay? Not okay yet. Not really. We can try later again. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, both. I mean, the idea of bodhicitta, excuse me, I gotta, is very inspiring, but it, like I say, the idea of benefiting all sentient beings is a little overwhelming. And what we talk about this afternoon is the Lamrim. Lama Tisha wrote the short text called Lamp on the Path, and then many commentaries to that. Lama Tsongkhapa's Lamrim Chenmo and Middling and Short and all these different things, or commentaries or expansions upon that. And there's a definite order of the Lamrim. You can't skip around. This is why when I got my, in this case, is perfect human rebirth for us. In the Tibetan tradition, it's Guru devotion, but for us, it's better to postpone that a little bit. But you start with perfect human rebirth. And that's what we're going to talk about this afternoon. But anyway, the importance of going in order to the Lamrim, because each step, the more you realize this step, the more profound the next step is going to be. If we don't understand incredible preciousness and usefulness of a perfect human rebirth, and when we get to death and impermanence, we don't really realize what we're losing. Death becomes, well, never, but we don't realize. Then on turn, then the realization of death and puts urgency back on the perfect human rebirth. I mean, there's this constant intertwining of one step to the other, but you've got to start with the first one and go to the next one. And so, but this afternoon, I have more to tell you about my retreat and how these things have come together or should come together. Oh. No, you don't know. No. We're Dharma brothers and sisters. We're not some hierarchy here. It's, yeah. Thank you.
And I just like to echo what Buddha said. I know you don't like meditation principles. I think it's extremely helpful. Particularly because we have a fear. Somebody else is like us. You share your experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I recognize that.
Reading Tibetan books about Tibetan lamas hundreds of years ago, but actually somebody doing it now.
This old fossil.
It's difficult, it's tough, but you have this and this next bit. It's very
Thank you. Like I said, I'm never sure what's coming out. Organization on this sort of thing is not my strong point, obviously. Yeah. Okay, so we'll have lunch and then come back again.